Good morning and welcome to Live Without Limits. Unlock your ultimate blueprint to shift your mindset. I'm your host, Davida Shinsky, and today we're diving into the heartbeat of achievement and how it connects with our ambition, fuels our goals, and ultimately drives personal success. So let's start from the beginning. What is motivation? Motivation is the internal spark, it's the force that initiates, guides, and sustains our behavior towards a desired goal. It's what gets us out of bed on and with purpose. It's the why behind every action you take, big or small. Now, motivation can be intrinsic, which means it comes from within. That's when you're driven by personal satisfaction, growth, or a sense of purpose. Or it can be extrinsic, coming from outside rewards like money, praise, recognition, or avoiding consequences. Both types matter. But here's the key: motivation is the energy that fuels your drive to act. Without it, even the best plans stay just that, plans. The connection between motivation, ambition, and personal success. Now, let's connect the dots. Ambition is your desire to achieve something greater. It's your vision for your future. But without motivation, ambition is just a dream sitting on a shelf. Think of ambition as the destination and motivation as the fuel that keeps your car moving toward it. Motivation powers action. It turns your desire to succeed into steps and habits into progress. So, how and when you feel highly motivated, you're more likely to motiv- motivate yourself, which helps you set meaningful goals. Motivation starts with clarity. When you're motivated, truly connected to your why, set random goals to impress others. You set goals that matter to you, goals that align with your values, with your vision, and your purpose. You go from saying, I want to lose weight to I want to feel healthy, confident, and energized so I can show up fully in my life every day. See the difference. Motivation gives your goals depth and direction. Motivation helps you stay committed. Let's be honest. Anyone can be excited in the beginning, but commitment, that's about staying the course when the novelty wears off. Motivation reminds you of your reason. It helps you say, I made this decision with intention and I'm sticking with it, even when it's not easy. That doesn't mean you won't feel tired or tempted to quit. It means that your purpose is stronger than your excuses. Motivation helps you push through challenges. Here's the truth. Every worthwhile goal comes with obstacles. There will be bad days, disappointments, setbacks, but when you're motivated, you don't see those moments as signals to stop. You see them as tests and you rise. Motivation helps you tap into resilience. It says this challenge isn't the end, it's part of the, well, so let's back up and say this again. You see, here's the truth. Every worthwhile goal comes with obstacles. There will be bad days, disappointments, and setbacks. But when you're motivated, you don't see these moments as the signs to stop. You see them as tests and you rise. Motivation helps you tap into resilience. It says this challenge isn't the end, it's part of the process. And that mindset changes everything. Remember, your mindset determines whether you're going to stop and put the brakes on or whether or not you're willing to take the chance to move forward. Motivation helps you follow through. Motivation turns intentions into actions and actions into results. You don't just talk about your goals anymore. You do the work. You build the habits. You stay consistent. And most importantly, you keep showing up even when progress feels slow. That's how real success is built, not in big bursts, but in steady, intentional steps. In other words, motivation is the link that turns ambition into real, tangible, personal success. So, why motivation is the engine behind goal setting? Here's the thing, without motivation, goal setting becomes an empty exercise. Sure, you can write down a list of goals, but will you actually chase them? Will you keep going when it gets tough? Motivation is the engine behind it all. It's what gives your goals life. And let's say this again. Motivation is the engine behind it all. It's what gives your goals life and movement. When you're motivated, you set goals that actually matter to you. You break them down into actionable steps. You stay focused even when distractions pop up. And most importantly, you bounce back when things go wrong. See if you've ever struggled to stay consistent with your goals. Chances are it wasn't a lack of discipline, it was a dip in motivation. That's why understanding your personal why is important. It gives your motivation depth and direction. Understanding motivation, intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, the psychology behind what drives us, common myths about motivation, motivation as the catalyst for goal setting, how motivation clarifies what you truly want, creating meaningful, aligned goals based on personal values, using motivation to prioritize and focus, the goal setting framework fueled by motivation, the SMART goal method, and how motivation keeps it alive, visualizing success, motivation through vision boards, and future self exercise, the role of emotional connection in sustaining goal clarity, staying motivated through challenges. Let's face it, motivation doesn't always show up when we want it to. Sometimes we're full of fire, and other times we're stuck in a fog of procrastination, fear, and self doubt. Today, we're talking about what to do when your motivation disappears and how to get it back. So let's dive in. Overcoming procrastination and fear of failure. Let's start with two of the biggest motivation killers: procrastination and the fear of failure. Procrastination isn't just laziness, it's often your brain trying to avoid discomfort. That could be fear of not doing something perfectly, or fear that if you try, you might fail. But here's the truth: success isn't about perfection, it's about progress. To overcome procrastination, break tasks into small, manageable steps. Start with what feels easy. That first win will give you momentum. Set a timer. Commit to just 10 minutes. Often, just getting started is the hardest part. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? When you bring your fear into the light, it loses its power. Remember, failure is feedback, not a final destination. Every mistake brings you closer to your goal. So, how to reignite your motivation when things get tough? When you hit a wall, and we all do, don't beat yourself up. Instead, reignite your spark. Here's how: reconnect to your why. Remember and remind yourself why that goal matters. What's at stake if you quit? Visualize your success. Close your eyes and picture how it'll feel when you reach your goal. Let that emotion fuel yourself. Visualization is a part of what we call the affirmations. And also, we look at it as wow, my head just went blank on what I was trying to say. So, what you want to think when you visualize is this: you often see yourself reaching your goal and being at that point long before, and keep that in mind. It will help you. And remember the secret when they talked about the laws of attraction? Well, visualization is very much a part of the laws of attraction. Change your environment. Sometimes a new space or a new routine can shake up your energy and get you back in momentum. And don't forget, motivation isn't a feeling you wait for, it's something that you create through action. Motivation, hacks, rewards, accountability, and progress tracking. Now, let's talk motivation back the tools that keep you going even when motivation runs low. Your rewards. Give yourself something to look forward to after completing a task. It can be small, a walk outside, a favorite snack, or 30 minutes of guilt free relaxation. Rewards train your brain to associate the action with pleasure. Accountability. Tell someone your goal. Better yet, find an accountability partner who checks in with you. When someone else knows what you're aiming for, you're more likely to stay consistent. Progress tracking. Use a habit tracker, a journal, or even a calendar. Seeing your progress. So, no matter how small, builds momentum. Progress builds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. Motivation and long term success. Building daily habits rooted in motivation. Here's something that most people overlook. Motivation is not just about getting started, it's about creating habits that keep you moving, even when the motivation wears off. So, how do you root your habits in motivation? Start by trying your daily habits to a clear purpose. Instead of saying, I need to work out, say, I want to move my body daily because I value my health and energy. When your habit is connected to a deeper reason, it becomes more meaningful and much more uh, sustainable. And make it simple. Wake up 10 minutes earlier to journal. Read one page of a personal development book. Do other things that bring you closer to your dream. Start small, but stay consistent because consistency builds identity. And when you see yourself as someone who follows through, motivation becomes part of who you are. Momentum and motivation, small wins leading to big success. So let's talk momentum. We often think of success that comes from big breakthroughs, but in reality, it's the small wins that staked over time that had a massive results on you. Each time you complete a small task, each time you keep a promise to yourself, you build momentum. And that momentum is motivating. It's what stakes you and makes you say, hey, if I did that, maybe I can do the next thing. Small wins do three things. It boosts your confidence, it reinforces positive habits, and it creates a sense of progress. So celebrate your small wins, track them, talk about them, let them carry you to the next level. How motivation contributes to resilience and personal growth. Now, let's get real. Life will throw curveballs. There will be moments of doubt, discomfort, and difficulty. This is where motivation does something deeper. It becomes your anchor. When your motivation is grounded in your values and vision, you build resilience, the ability to keep going when life gets tough. And that resilience, it becomes the foundation of personal growth. You learn that failure doesn't define you, that challenges make you stronger, that setbacks aren't the end. They're stepping stones. Motivation, when rooted in purpose, helps you bounce back faster. It shifts your mindset from why me to what's this teaching me. And that's where real transformation happens. Real life stories, motivation. So far, we've explored what motivation is, how it drives goal setting, keeps you going through challenges, and helps you build daily habits that create real momentum. Now, it's time to bring it to life with some real stories. So, Sarah, from overwhelmed to entrepreneur. Sarah was a full time teacher with a passion for art. For years, she dreamed of starting her own online store selling custom illustrations, and fear of failure held her back. One day, after a long and stressful school year, she asked herself, if I don't at least try, will I always wonder what could have been? That question sparked her motivation. She started small, waking up early to draw, learning e-commerce basics, and within a year, Sarah launched her shop, and today she runs her art business full time. What's the lesson here? Well, motivation begins when you connect to your why. Progress doesn't come when giant leaps, it comes from small, consistent action driven by purpose. James, from coach to from couch to marathon. James was in his 40s, overweight and feeling stuck. After a routine doctor's visit raised some flags, he knew he had to make a change. That's what really motivated him. Wasn't fear, it was his daughter. He wanted to be present, healthy, and active in her life. So he started walking every day, then jogging. A year later, James crossed the finish line of his first marathon. Well, what's the lesson here? When you motivate is tied to love, health, or legacy, it becomes unshakable, and every small win builds confidence and takes them the next step. So now let's look at Maya, from self doubt to speaker. Maya had a powerful story to tell, but she was terrified of public speaking. Still, deep down, she knew her voice would inspire others. Her motivation, a promise she made to her younger self to never stay silent again. Maya joined a local Toastmasters group, practiced weekly, and pushed herself through the fear. Today she speaks at schools, women's conferences, and podcasts, empowering others to speak their truth. Motivation doesn't eliminate fear, but it gives you the courage to face it. And when you act, In spite of fear, that's where confidence is born. What do all these stories have in common? They don't wait for their perfect moment. They don't need perfect plans. They don't need a reason and the willingness to take that first step. Motivation is a personal, it's powerful, and it's possible for everyone, including you. So ask yourself, what's my why? What's one small step I can take today towards my goal? What story do I want to tell a year from now? Because your story can be the next one someone else hears that they're inspired by. We've we've covered so much ground on how motivation works, how it fuels your goals, helps you overcome challenges, and builds momentum. But here's the truth that no one talks about enough. You're not always going to feel motivated, and that's okay because success isn't built on feelings. It's built on systems, habits, and intention. So today, let's talk about how to cultivate motivation daily, even when those off days. How to cultivate motivation daily. Motivation is like a fire. It needs fuel every day, but it doesn't have to be big or dramatic. The most powerful sources of daily motivation are simple and repeatable. Here's a few ways to keep your motivation up, even on low energy days. Start your day with intention. Take 5 minutes in the morning to ask, what's one thing I can do today that brings me closer to my goal? The small intention creates focus, and focus builds momentum. Revisit your why regularly. Keep a sticky note on your mirror, a lock screen quote, or a journal entry that reminds you why you started. When you remember your purpose, the how becomes clearer. Now, before I go on, what I want to say is I have a saying on my computer that comes from Carl Jung that says, it's not what happened to me, it's what I choose to become. Because I grew up in a very negative home at a time when there were very few opportunities for people with disabilities, and all I was ever told was, I can't. I can't live on my own. I can't think for myself. I can't hold a job. And all of that went out by the wayside many years ago. And I've actually been doing this podcast for 17 years because when I started, podcasting wasn't even a word used. It was just called internet radio. And then you had many talk shows that were doing the same thing. Surround yourself with energy. What you see, hear, and consume matters. Listen to inspiring podcasts, follow uplifting content, and hang around people who are striving to succeed. Because if you're around people who are successful, then you will become successful as well. Energy is contagious, so choose your input wisely. Track your progress, seeing your growth. So no matter how small, use habits, tracker, a journal, or even a photo log. Progress creates pride. Pride creates purpose. Celebrate the little wins. Every action deserves acknowledgement. You don't have to wait until the big milestone to feel proud of how far you've come. So here's your daily reminder. You were never meant to rely on motivation alone. You were meant to design a life that supports your goals, even when motivation fades. You're more powerful than you know, and your systems, they can carry you all the way to success. So thank you for joining me on Live Without Limits. And if this episode helped you reset your mindset, share it with someone who might need it also. And remember this, you're the one that can succeed if you keep working towards your goals. And motivation comes from within you. And when you do that and you learn how to motivate yourself, then you will always succeed at whatever you choose to do.